Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, the Dodgers can't complete the sweep. We'll talk about Tony Gonsolin's start. We'll talk about Max Muncy's struggles and look a little bit ahead to the series against the Rays. That's what's on tap, so make sure to keep it Locked On Dodgers.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, Dodger fans. Welcome to Locked On Dodgers. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 local sports daily podcast network. Locked On, your team every day. This is a daily podcast covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, bringing you the smart fans' perspective on our boys in blue. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube if you search for Locked On Dodgers. And if you subscribe in each of those places, you can join the Everydayer Club by listening every day and getting those notifications directly to your phone or device, letting you know that we have a new episode. Most of the time, that's every Monday through Friday, unless there's an emergency episode. So go check that out. Go subscribe now. If this is your first time listening or watching, I'm Vince Samperio. I'm usually joined by co-host Jeff Snider, but he's being a dad. His daughter's graduating this week from high school, so big moments over there. So I'm holding it down for today. Jeff and I are both lifelong Dodger fans. We've spent time covering the team. We've watched a lot of Dodger baseball. We've been to a lot of Dodger games, and yeah, we're here to bring you what we think is a smart fan's perspective on the Dodgers. And today, that'll just be me providing that smart fans analysis. But I'm here to do it. I'm glad to do it. The Dodgers, unfortunately, did not complete the sweep against the Braves. They lost on a walk-off in the ninth inning, walk-off sac fly. And despite the loss, there was some positives, but, with any loss, there were also some not so positives. One of the positives was Tony Gonsolin's first 3 innings. Tony Gonsolin looked really good the first 3 innings, got through them on about 36 pitches or somewhere around there. Looking like one of those nights. All right, Gonsolin's going to give us 6, maybe, 0 to 1 run, and the Dodgers offense, should be able to beat that and on the way to a sweep. And then after that, he gave up a solo home run to Matt Olson, destroyed that. It was way out of there, 450 plus feet into the right field, onto some roof out there in right field. And then he issues a 2-out walk, I believe. I don't remember if it was 2 outs, but he issues a walk to Albies. And then next batter, Marcell Ozuna, takes him 450 to left center. And that was all Gonsolin gave up. He didn't quite get to the 6 innings. He got 5 2/3. And yeah, it was one of those mixed bag type of starts where it looked good kicking off. He only gave up 3 hits, but he also gave up a couple walks. Only struck out 4, did give up the 2 home runs. He kind of said after the game, I made 2 mistakes and that's what they hit. And, sometimes that's what happens. And, realistically, he was 1 out from, the quality start, which, the stat that is dependent on, how you deem quality. But I guess in these days, if Dodgers could get 6-3 from every one of their starters, that would have been a benefit, especially on this road trip where they've only had starters go past 5 innings a couple times. So, but either way, like I said, a good start for Gonsolin, especially against his Braves team. Did give up a couple mistakes. He wasn't sustained hitting and, hits here and there, blah, blah, blah. So, Gonsolin did say after the game that, he's fully fleshed out now. He doesn't, he's not worried about pitch counter. He's not worried about anything out. He's full ready to go. And, he hasn't quite been ERA wise. He's as good as he was last year. Or similar 1.82 ERA, but that hasn't been very efficient 1.82 ERA. He hasn't been going 6 innings every time out. But he's giving you a chance, and he's keeping the score low on the opposite side. So that's really all you can ask for out of Gonsolin right now. But again, the last couple of times, I think we've given the caveat of he's still working his way back, and in a sense, he still is kind of working his way back, but also, if he acknowledges he's all the way back, we got to acknowledge he's all the way back, and we'll hold him to that standard moving forward. But not a bad night for Gonsolin. Just one that uh, and coming off 7 straight games where the Dodgers offense had scored 5 or more runs, those 3 runs would have held up, and we would have had to wait for one more out in the last inning, but they might have held up, and they might have not gotten to Phil Bickford if they had a lead there in the 9th inning. But regardless of that, the Dodgers offense had 12 hits. They had a lot of runners on base, especially early in the game against Bryce Elder. They just weren't able to get those hits that put the runs on the board. They went 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 runners on base. The one run they scored early in the game against Elder was a solo home run by Mookie Betts that came half inning after Matt Olson had put the Braves ahead 1-0. They did, the good thing is that the Dodgers, who have been known and prone to come back in games this year, continue to fight, continue to do that. They did put up 2 runs in the top of the 8th in order to tie the game. That ends up, setting up that walk off for the Braves, unfortunately. But like I said, 12 hits, they only 2 walks, only 8 strikeouts. They're putting the ball in play. They just weren't getting it done. Max Muncy went 0 for 5. We're going to talk about him in the second segment. He's been a little bit struggling lately. But, it's hard to, if you look at up and down the lineup, Mookie Betts 2 for 5, Freddie 1 for 4, Smith 2 for 4, Muncy low for 5, but then you got JD 2 for 4, Hayward 1 for 4, Vargas 2 for 3, Peralta 1 for 4, Taylor 1 for 4. Like, the hits are there. They just didn't come at the right time. Some of them, some guys, obviously 1 for 10 runners in scoring position. Only one of those 12 hits came at the right time. So although it was a huge time when they did come, with Miguel Vargas hitting the double down the line in the top of the 8th in order to tie the game with JD Martinez on base. So, but it's going to happen. Bryce Elder is one of the league leaders in ERA. He's I think he's still right around 2.0 something. And yeah, you look at, I know a lot of people were posting his baseball savant page, and a lot of people were calling him like the luckiest starter in baseball. And when you look at his stuff, when you look at the game yesterday, when you do look at his baseball savant page, you do wonder how he's putting up all these zeros, especially for a guy that doesn't throw as hard. And it didn't, none of his stuff looked, you cannot throw hard but have really good stuff. His stuff looked cool. Obviously, it worked, but it didn't look like, oh my god, this guy's really good. But hey, sometimes that all that doesn't matter, and we've seen that with Tony Gonsolin. I mean, Tony Gonsolin has a little bit better stuff in terms of like velocity and a little bit of on the movement side, but he's very good at preventing runs and hard contact to a certain extent. Other than last night on those 2 pitches, and it was a high wire act of Gonsolin versus Elder in terms of run prevention. Although this time Gonsolin gave up, Gonsolin's mistakes were hit over the wall, whereas Elder's mistakes were base hits, and he was able to limit the base hits once those guys were on base. So it's just one of those games. Jeff and I have talked about before the worst way to win a series, a 3-game series, and I think we both agreed that it was to win the first 2 and lose the last one, just because you want that sweep. And if you lose the first one and win the next 2, then you're happy. If you go 1-1-1, you're happy because you won the series at the end. But winning the first 2, losing the last one is the last one. But for all the moral victories, Dodgers coming back, Gonsolin looking all right, all that, blah blah blah, they did win the series, and it's a good series to win, especially coming off losing 3 out of 4 in St. Louis. So no moral victories, but again, you win every series, we're going to be happy the rest of the way. And the Dodgers are going to lose sometimes, and that's what happens. And the Braves, like I said, are still a good team. They're still a first-place team, someone they might play in the postseason. So Max Muncy has been struggling. That's what we're going to get into next. Just kind of take a look. Do the Dodgers need to do anything? Do they need to step in? Is it just one of those things that it's, roller coaster of a season? That's what we're going to get into. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. Birddogs are covering the lower half of your body. They got shorts, they got pants. I have a couple pair of the shorts, and they're a little bit different than some other kinds of shorts. These have a built-in liner, kind of like swim trunks, where they cover you in the sense of not needing to wear undergarments if you don't want to. I guess you could. It might feel a little bit weird if you do, but either way, they're comfortable. And not gonna lie, like swim trunks in general are kind of comfortable for me, especially going to the beach or going to the pool, and you're like, all right, let me just throw my swim trunks on and whatever. That's how I feel when I wear bird dogs. I feel great. I look great. They got a variety of colors. They got you covered, and the fabric is like that stretchy fabric, but it doesn't look like it's not quite basketball shorts or nothing like that. But it's like, all right, this looks good, but also feels good. And if a little one-on-one game breaks out, or a little two-hand touch football game breaks out, you're still ready to go with your bird dogs. Uh, and you can wear them out, out to eat. You can wear them to the beach. You can wear them out to a barbecue this weekend for Memorial Day. Like, they have a wide variety, a wide range of purpose and use, and bird dog shorts are there for you. So go check them out. Go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb. And when you enter the promo code LockedOnMLB, they'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. Yeti style tumblers are not that cheap. So for you to go to birddogs.com/lockedonmlb, enter that promo code LockedOnMLB, you'll get one of those with any order. And what else do you need to know? You're gonna get some comfy shorts. You're gonna get what they're calling the shorts of the future with the built-in liner. Go check it out. Get comfy. Get a little Yeti style tumbler. For you can throw your beverage of choice for the weekend in there whenever you get them. When you're going to those barbecues wearing your bird dog. So go birddogs.com/lockedonmlb, promo code LockedOnMLB. All right. Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Make sure to subscribe and listen every day. Become an everydayer. All you have to do is listen every day, or intend to listen every day, or at least download every day. So go become an everydayer. You can find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube. You can also find us on SiriusXM or the SXM app by searching Locked On Dodgers, which is also how you can find the games to listen to home broadcast every game. SiriusXM, SXM app, just search Dodgers. Dodgers are off tonight, obviously, so you can go find other games, I guess, if you want. But if not, wait till Friday. Hey, you know what? Friday I can watch the game. SiriusXM, SXM app, search Dodgers, find that home broadcast and listen. All right, so Max Muncy went 0 for 5 last night with 3 strikeouts. He has not been good as of late. Over the last 7 games, he's hitting 115 with an OPS under 400 or right at 400, somewhere like that. In the last 2 weeks, last 15 games, he's hitting 179 with an OPS of right above 600, 605, I think. 20 strikeouts in his last 56 at-bats, 12 strikeouts in his last 26 at-bats. I think that's the more concerning part, is the strikeouts. Max Muncy, batting average wise, he's never been much of a batting average guy. Most of his value comes from the power that he has, and getting on base. And when his on base percentage 179 over the last 7 games, 258 over the last 15 games. When you look, you go back from that last 30 games, his on base percentage was 344. So, he was good, and then now he's struggling to get on base. And I think that's the more concerning part, the swing and miss, the strikeouts, 12 strikeouts and 26 ABs. That's almost 50% of the time, 20 out of 56. That's almost, a little bit over 30% of the time. That's not, the Max Muncy we're used to seeing. And, he's been sitting on, he took the league lead around 12 home runs, maybe 13 home runs. And then since then, he's only had a couple more since then, and not that he's going for the home run leader, but like I said, his value comes from home runs and power, and hitting doubles and home runs, and getting his slugging percentage up to combine that with his OBP. And if that's not there, he doesn't provide that value offensively. It's especially when he's sitting 4 or 5 in the lineup, or most of the time four in the lineup. And it sucks. And it's one of those things where he's had a struggle, with his swing the last few years, and he last year he started off really bad, and then was able to recuperate after making a little adjustment with his, kicking his feet, moving his feet a little bit, shuffling his feet before this year. Started off bad again, made that little adjustment, to, kicking his feet, and then figured it out. So now, I don't know. I haven't paid attention, like broken it down. I would assume he's still doing that. It's just a matter of whether it's pitch recognition or, just a slump, whatever the case is. The Dodgers don't have many options anyway. It's not like, there's no advocating for Max Muncy to get benched or to get DFA'd. It's not like that, the Dodgers have anyone knocking on the door. I guess if there was other people hitting, I could advocate for Mookie playing infield a little bit more. Miguel Rojas slides over to third base, or Chris Taylor slides over to third base. And that's the way. And maybe Muncy will get a day off here in the next, in this race series. I guess that's possible. They're not facing anybody. They're facing a books or a not a true starter on Friday. They're facing Glasnow on Saturday, but Glasnow's coming off injury, first start of the season. And then Sunday, I don't remember who they have on tap. It says TBD. So, and they're already getting the day off Thursday. So, maybe it's not going to happen this weekend. But if he continues to scuffle, there may be a day off in there for Max Muncy coming up. But it just goes to show kind of how the rest of the lineup has played around him, because Muncy has been struggling, and the Dodgers have scored 5+ runs in the 7 games before last night's game. So it goes to show that this Dodgers offense is still potent, one, and he's contributed here and there, but it hasn't been the contributions that we've been used to. But when the rest of the order is coming through, you can lose a little bit from somebody and not really notice it. And then, when it comes down to it, on the season, his OPS is 847. So, like, on the season, he's still good. He's going through, now it's 2 weeks now, a little bit of a slump, a little bit of a struggle. But like I said, there's not necessarily any solution or that we can offer. And there's not necessarily a solution in terms of like, oh yeah, he needs to get benched or anything like that. No need to get that extreme. The one guy that could have forced that hand a little bit, or at least, gotten some extra ABs, is Chris Taylor. But Chris Taylor is also struggling on his own a little bit. He's in 167 in the last week, with the OPS under 400. Over the last 2 weeks, 171 with an OPS under 500. He had cut the strikeouts a little bit. So, you go back to the last 2 weeks, he has 12 strikeouts total and 41 at bats, but then you cut that in half, and then he has 8 strikeouts in the last 18. So he is striking out a little bit more now. But at this point, that's kind of who Chris Taylor is. He's not. I don't think the Dodgers can count on him to be much more than an occasional, a threat. He's still a threat every time he comes to the plate. But it's also like a threat where you're like, okay, he's a threat probably like 15-20% of the time. I did like the lineup last night. Chris Taylor batting ninth. There's obviously no pressure in the ninth spot. And, when he does get on base, you're putting some speed on the bases for the top of the order. Yesterday's lineup, kind of funny how it ended up being the lineup that only scored 3 runs. But they did have the 12 hits, but they only scored the 3 runs because, I really liked the lineup. It was Betts, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, Martinez, top 5 normal. Then you got Hayward, Vargas, Peralta, Taylor. James Outman sitting against a right-hander. It was one of those where they just want to give him a little bit of a mental, give him a little bit of a breather, get him that 48 days with the day off in order to kind of reset. Fabian Ardaya of The Athletic wrote a little article about, Outman and kind of figuring out what's going on. And, you're still waiting on Outman to make that adjustment back. The pitchers have adjusted to him. They're attacking him in the same spot. It's time for him to, make that adjustment back and figure it out. And, he can still hit mistakes occasionally, like we know with that grand slam that he hit, last week. But, it's a matter of, if he continues to struggle, doesn't quite figure it out, the Dodgers' need for a bat becomes a little bit more prominent, whether it's a center fielder, whether it's a corner outfielder, or whether it's a short. Like they're gonna need another bat. The top five of the order, like I mentioned, is still solid, and Miguel Vargas is still a threat, and Hayward, Peralta, those guys are coming through occasionally. None of them are reliable or consistent at this point. You would like one more reliable or consistent guy. Outman was that guy last month, hasn't been that guy this month. So I do think, the Dodgers, they got 2 months for him to kind of figure it out and see where he's at before they realistically, need to make a move just based on the deadline. But it is something to monitor here over the next couple months. So we're going to finish up with today's episode talking about a little bit about the Rays and what to look forward to in that series. So that's what's on tap. So make sure to keep it locked on Dodgers. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is something that I have needed over life, and I'm glad it's here now because I'm somebody that'll take advantage of free trials or need something in the moment, does a free trial, forgets about it, or says, what, it's a hassle. I got to do multiple things in order to. Oh, I'll do it later. It's too much of a hassle right now, and then I don't do it later, and then 3 months down the line, I've spent $60 on something I didn't use. So Rocket Money is perfect for me because if subscriptions you forgot about, subscriptions you forgot to cancel, you don't have to worry about it. Rocket Money will cancel those subscriptions for you. I'm a millennial. Things that are not easy as a simple click are too much sometimes. You know how it is sometimes. And Rocket Money is here to help you out, and it saves you money. Like you don't realize how much money you're spending sometimes a month, unless you're like super deep into your financials. That's obviously not me. And there was a time where I was spending almost 60-70 bucks a month on stuff that I didn't use or that I forgot to cancel or that I didn't need. And 60-70 bucks in a month, okay, not that bad. 60-70 bucks over the course of 3 4 5 6 months, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that I could spend on other things that I actually do want. So Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. This Rocket Money ad is turning into the realization of how much I used to spend before. But either way, Rocket Money's got me at good now. They're saving people money. They're saving me money. And over 3 million people have used it to save around an average of $720 a year. So stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. One last time, rocketmoney.com/lockedonmlb. All right. If you're not an everydayer, you should become an everydayer. And how can you do that? You can listen to this episode, listen to this episode, yes. But you can also listen to us every Monday through Friday and become a part of the everydayers and be in on what we talk about every day. So that way when we say, oh, remember when we said this on the other episode, you'd be like, oh, I do remember because I'm an everydayer. So go do that. Remember, home broadcast for any Dodger game on SiriusXM or the SXM app. All you got to do is search for Dodgers. If you're going to miss the game in terms of watching it, you can always catch it on SiriusXM or the SXM app. All you got to do is search for Dodgers. All right, so look ahead at the weekend a little bit. I know we have the day off today, which means there's going to be what's it called? A mailbag episode. So if you have any questions, make sure to send them to us at Locked On Dodgers or send them to the DMs. You'll get all that stuff at the end of the episode if you don't remember it already. So start getting those questions in. But, quick look at the Rays weekend. And like I mentioned earlier, Glasnow is supposed to make his season debut on Saturday. I believe it's Cooper Criswell. He's a bulk inning pitcher for the Rays. He's supposed to get either the start or the bulk of the game on Friday. I don't know if they've announced anyone for Sunday yet. It says TBD on the schedule. But they avoid McClanahan, which is a good thing. McClanahan's the bona fide ace over there for Tampa Bay. So they're avoiding him. And it's gonna be an interesting weekend. Like the Rays started off super hot and they're still have the best record in baseball, still been playing very well. But the Orioles have kind of caught up a little bit. The Dodgers aren't that far behind in terms of number of wins. The Rays are 36-15, and the Dodgers are 31-20. So they're, it's not that far off. It's the way they started and the way they've been going. It's a big difference for the Rays. But the big thing here is they are 23-5 at home, and it's interesting to have such a good home record when there's not like a distinctive characteristic or like a crowd advantage in Tampa Bay. Like it's not like in Denver, I guess you could say maybe not so much in baseball, but the altitude kind of helps you out if you're used to it, and or at least at Dodger Stadium, you got at least 40,000 fans every night, giving you somewhat of an advantage in terms of the crowd. Tampa doesn't have that. They're just playing really well at home, or whoever they've played at home, opponent wise hasn't been that good. Whatever the case is, but either way, they're good at home. Their offense has been really good. Randy Rosarena has continued his success from the World Baseball Classic into the regular season. He's been really good. They got Yandy Diaz, who I believe is. I know he missed a couple games for to attend to a matter. I believe he's back though. Um, Wander Franco is really good. He's been struggling a little bit, but he's still good. Um, yeah, Yandy didn't play Tuesday or Wednesday. He said he's dealing with a family matter, so not sure if he'll be back for the weekend. I know Brandon Lau missed a couple games, but he's expected to be in the lineup today on Thursday. He had a stiff neck, so realistically, it seems like the Dodgers are going to get most of the guys offensively, and they're they're getting a little bit of a cut. Uh, at least Criswell and Glasnow could be good, but they're not necessarily. Glasnow is good, but he hasn't pitched this season in the majors. He's been dealing with injuries. He had, I think he went 6 innings in his last rehab start over the weekend. So he stretched out to probably about 80, 85 pitches, I would imagine. So the Dodgers can, if he's not efficient, the Dodgers will exploit that. They should get into the bullpen, considering they might get into the bullpen a little bit more on Friday since there's not a legitimate starter going. That could bode well for the Dodgers in terms of the series. And I am interested to see, the Rays offense is usually, they're always going to have the pitching. And, I think the biggest surprise for the Rays this year has been the offense. They have the second most runs scored in baseball. They lead baseball by a wide margin in home run. Like the Dodgers have 82 home runs on the season. They're second in baseball. The Rays have 97 home runs and, obviously first in baseball. They do steal bases at a high clip. They got the most stolen bases in baseball. Like they're a threat for sure against the Dodgers. And that's why I'm interested to see, the Dodgers will have Syndergaard. They're not, they'll have Syndergaard throwing on Friday. They'll have Kershaw on Saturday, assuming he comes back from the bereavement list. And then they have Gavin Stone on Sunday. So, they're both teams aren't sending if this was a playoff series, Kershaw would probably be the only one that would be getting a start in a playoff series that faces him. Glasnow, assuming he stays healthy the rest of the way, would be one on their side. So it's going to be a good matchup, and I'm looking forward to it. The Dodgers are 15-7 in this month of May when we're going to play multiple first place teams. Realistically, they're already there where they can lose out the month and still finish 500, and that would be obviously at this point being 15-7, it would be considered not great. But if you had said at the start of the month, okay, the Dodgers are playing all these first place teams, they're going to lose Julio for at least 2 starts. They're going to lose Dustin May for at least 2-3 starts. They're going to have a stretch of games where the starters only go into the past 5 innings like twice in a 2-week stretch, and they're going to finish, at 500. You'd be like, okay, that's all right. The fact that they have they're able to, they got the Rays in the Nationals. So, if they can take 2 out of 3 here, they should be able to, hopefully take 2 out of 3 or sweep the Nationals. And then you're looking at a really, really, really good month of May. So looking forward to this Rays series, to kind of see it, put a little bit of barometer where the Dodgers are at and just, how good the Rays offense is. and again, it's May 25th, so like it's not like a look ahead at the postseason. Whoever, the Rays may have the same team going into the postseason. They're not much of a, big deadline deals. They can make some small deals, or they can get some healthy guys back from injury. The Dodgers team that's playing right now is probably going to look a little bit different than it would be in an October series. But regardless, it's going to be a fun series. If the Dodgers can take 2 out of 3, they salvage this road trip and at least break 500. And that's all we can ask for. But if they want to go ahead and go for the sweep, you go right ahead, Dodgers. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thank y'all for listening. Thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day every day. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Become an everydayer by listening every single weekday morning. We're here for you about 30 minutes every Monday through Friday. Tell your friends, tell your family. Remember it, mailbag episode coming for tomorrow's episode. So go ahead and submit those questions if you got them. You can submit them to Twitter at Locked On Dodgers, at Vincent's91, or at Snider. You can find us on Instagram as well at Locked On Dodgers. DMs are open on all those accounts. If you don't want to, put it into the public timeline, you can always send us a DM and ask a question. You can send us an email, lockedondodgers@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail or send us a text at 323-863-5625. We're here every weekday morning, and we hope you'll be with us when you get in your car or if you're at home. Cherish My Device Play podcast, Locked On Dodgers. And remember, you don't have to agree. You just have to listen. Have a good one.